Another short little screencast. This one's going to be about standard deviation and standard error. So deviation is if we think of the mean, so the average, the standard deviation is like how far are your numbers away from the average. We saw that the averages of these are around 44 and 41 respectively. What's the standard deviation? Because I see some numbers in here, like I see 19 in that first column of heads. I see 58. So those are some big standard deviations, some big numbers that are far from the mean. So again, same thing, click, shift, and click. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, well, we're going to do this a little bit differently this time. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to actually write a formula. So I'm going to equals, and I'm going to start typing in S deviation right there. Standard deviation. Now I'm going to do my shift click. Click. And click, and hit enter, and there's my standard deviation. Is that a big number? Could be. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Standard deviation goes right there. So let's label that standard deviation. For the one below it, we're going to go standard deviation from the mean. Standard error from the mean. I'm sorry, standard error from the mean. Now, the standard error from the mean is kind of a complicated formula. It's the standard deviation divided by the number of numbers. So we can go and count those 1, 2, 3, 4, or we can do a little quick math. There's actually 25 of them from 22 to 26. So I'm gonna write the formula equals, and here's my let's see, equals this divided by, so that backslash. And now we have to take the square root of those numbers. So the square root of, in this case, is 25. I know that, counted those. So there's my standard deviation like that. Standard deviation of 2.06. Standard error from the mean. 2 is not so bad. Let's do it over here too. So we're going to go equals Kazam, okay? And I'm going to divide it by the square root. What if I didn't know that? So I'm going to count those. So I'm going to go count, parentheses, C2, C26, parentheses, parentheses, and maybe that'll give me a number. So there's my standard error right there. So these two numbers, 2 is pretty okay, 2.5. If the standard error gets close to 3, then we're in trouble. Okay, so that's how you figure out the standard deviation and how to figure out the standard error of the mean. Those are two numbers that are important for statistics.